What's up and welcome back to another video on the YouTube channel. In today's video, we're doing the European qualifier one. Obviously, last week you saw that we did the NA, and my predictions there were all over the place compared to the actual results, which I may do a video on comparing them to. Um, if you want to see that, let me know. But obviously, I might just do it anyways, just to kind of compare and see everything. But it was kind of really easier to predict that region compared to this region, and obviously mostly from the players that are in this region compared to North America. Europe is a more stacked region, especially across teams. um, and a lot of these teams have potential to like really take it far, really go forward in this, and win lands, win tournaments, be world champions, whatever. This is going to be a very stacked season for the European region. I'm actually really excited for it, but I'm not a big fan of like Europe in general, so obviously I'm not going to know as much, and so maybe a lot of these things aren't expected or you don't think it's going to happen, but I'm looking at names and kind of giving my opinion on from what I remember seeing of their names previously in RLCS, or just overall, whatever. And sorry, bit sick, so you might hear some coughing in the video. Sorry about that. Anyways, the first round we have Carmine Corp versus Sa. Gotta be real with you, not expecting a lot here. Sa is the roster of Mike Boy, though, and Tekos, and Tekos, I think this is his debut RLCS. Good for him. You make it to your first RLCS, your first match is against Carmine Corp. They're not making it. Sorry, but Carmine, really strong roster. It's Rise, Atal, and obviously Vatira, with Farah as the coach, who is now a world champion. But I genuinely think this is going to be one of the best teams in the region. Carmine Corp is by far going to be the favorites in this, and I think they really are going to compete with this Vitality roster. They actually might dethrone Vitality in this, so I guess we'll see. Secondly, we have Vitality versus 100%. 100% is basically the Resolve roster, minus whatever his name is. I forgot. It's Breezy, Triton, and Crispy with Flame, obviously, as your coach. And, good roster. I'm going to give him a game because I feel like this is just one of those random teams that could take a game on Vitality. But Vitality are going to pick it up immediately and just get going. Next one is Endpoint versus Resolve. Endpoint is like Arju, Smokes, and Matane, I believe, in the Resolve roster. I don't exactly remember. This is kind of a mixed match. I feel like both teams can kind of win this one. I'm going to give it to Endpoint. I think they have my vote over it, but I can definitely see Resolve taking a game here. This next one is very interesting. This is the BDS roster with Exotic and Drawley on the roster with Monkey Moon. And the Genomates is Itachi, Seiko, and I don't know the other person. I'm blinking on the name, and it's someone big, and I know it, but I just can't think of the name right now. Anyways, I think it might be Extra. I'm not sure. Anyways, yeah, this is kind of a weird one. I think BDS is going to be a really strong roster. I think Genomates is as well. However, I think Genomates are going to be one of those teams where they have high expectation, but like a low reality. Like, they should be good on paper, but they're just not going to show it as well. And I feel like that's going to be like, it's going to be like this season's like, or this region's like OG. Maybe not as bad as OG was with the last regional, but definitely I think BDS will take this. Maybe Genomates will be really good. Maybe not. The next one is Oxygen versus Team 3. Team 3 is Catalysm, Mark by 8, and Rizex. Not really expecting a lot from this roster. I'm going to give it a sweep because I think this Oxygen roster is going to be really good. I can't think of who is on it. I know that Atal, I think, is on it. Or is Atal? Atal's either on Carmine Corp with this one. Maybe Oski, I think, is on this one, actually. I'm pretty sure that's it. Oski is the roster. Of Oxygen. So, yeah. Anyways, I think Oxygen are going to look really good this season. I'm expecting a lot from them. Team 3, I don't really expect too much from, but who knows. Redemption versus Wild. Wild is the roster of Tempo, Immovald, and Rye. Um, I think this is a pretty good roster. I think it's okay. Redemption is Cash, Ivan, and Astral, which I'm expecting to actually perform here. I think it'll be close, but I think Redemption will take it. Um, yeah, I think they'll do good here. Moist versus Fast Forward. Fast Forward is the roster of Compact, Samas, and Edgeby. I think that's how you say it. Um, yeah, I think Moist are going to look really good this season. Uh, they have Resi on the roster, which is from like he teamed with Scrub Killer last one, and they made like a deep run. So maybe a little bit. I can see, but I think Fast Forward's not gonna be too hard of a match for them. I think they'll take it pretty easily. Next one is Magnifico versus Beleaguer. Magnifico is Atomic, Stizzy, and Hawks, and Beleaguer is Hider, Speed, and Temper. Um, I don't know a lot about this Beleaguer roster in general. I don't know about most of them besides Speed. I know he used to be on Liquid, and they didn't really perform too well, but whatever. Then you Magnifico, which is Stizzy, Tox, and Atomic. Tox obviously being on, I believe, EG and Luminosity when they were in Europe, and he did okay. He was pretty like mid results, but I think he did make a LAN, and that's pretty good. Atomic obviously making the World Championship with G1, and Stizzy. Who did a pretty okay run last season. I'm expecting a lot for this Magnifico roster, or at least like a pretty mid result, I guess, so to say. Not like too high, but you know, like a really possibly sneaking into the top 8, maybe. Next one is gonna be Carmine Corp versus Redemption. Carmine Corp, I think will take that in a sweep. I don't think this Carmine Corp is gonna drop a game this whole Swiss. I think they'll 3-0. Bit of a spoiler for the next prediction. Maybe. I don't know who they're facing. We'll see. But they might not drop a game. Oxygen versus Endpoint. I think this Endpoint roster is okay. I think this Oxygen roster is just a whole lot better. And I'm expecting them to take this down pretty easily. Moist Magnifico. I'm actually going to give this one to Magnifico. I think it'll be close. I think Moist were like the favorites here, but I want to switch it up and give just a random prediction here. And I think this is going to be one that's going to happen. Moist just, I think they'll just throw it for some reason. It'd be like a really stupid throw, and it's of course going to be Moist that it happens to, because usually it always is a team like Moist who should be near the top, maybe a little lower than the number 1 or number 2, maybe even number 3, but they kind of have like a bust every now and then. Next one is a very interesting match, even a finals match actually. A Vitality versus BDS. Very strong. I think Vitality will keep their good run. I think it will go to Game 5, but I think Vitality will keep their run going after the World Championship last season, and they'll look pretty good this season. The next one is Wild versus Suh. Again, I'm not, very, very confident in my predictions on these because I don't know a lot about this region as a whole. Suh and okay, well, let me break it down actually. Suh is a roster who I think has potential to be like a top 8, sneak in maybe around 5 exit, but like they for some reason don't perform when it comes to like regionals like this, and we've seen it with the multiple iterations of the Suh roster. We just don't see it. I think Wild are going to take them down. Maybe a bit of a wild prediction, but you know, who knows? Resolve versus Team 3. Resolve, I think they're a good roster. I think this Team 3, I'm going to give it to them in like 4. I think they can upset here. Obviously, this Team 3, they have, results to back it up. Mark Bay being a major winner, and, being very dominant in the region with BDS when he was on BDS, and Rizex and Catalysm have both made majors and, done pretty good in their own region of Europe, which is very, very strong. So I think they have the results, like on paper, they can do it, and I think they will against this Resolve roster, but, maybe not. Fast Forward versus Beleaguer. I gotta be real here. I don't know much about either of these rosters. So this is gonna be kind of a random one. I'm gonna give it to Beleaguer because why not? We'll give it a 5, but who knows? Geomates versus 100%. I think this 100% roster is okay, but I think Geomates will take that down pretty easily. Carmine Corp versus Magnifico. I'm going to keep the results going with the 3-0. I think Carmine, if this result happened, they're not dropping a game this Swiss. To be fair, they did have a pretty easy run going in this. They've had to. They started out very easily, obviously being the number one seed. They started out very easily, went on to round two with Redemption winning, being like an match, and then Magnifico probably being the weakest of this entire um, first four in the upper of round three. You know, I think they got a pretty easy result going in here, and you get the idea. Vitality versus Auction, an interesting one because this Oxygen roster is actually pretty strong now. They took down G2 in a reverse sweep, so they look really good. Um, but I think not four. They're gonna take it in three. I think they'll take it down pretty easily. Two favorites obviously winning makes sense, but you know you kind of expect that. You really do expect that, to be honest. Next one, obviously the middle card. This is your one-on-one teams. Moist versus Team Three. I think they'll take them down pretty easily. I think this Team Three has potential, but I feel like they're kind of one of those put together teams just to try to get in and see what they can do. I just don't expect a lot from this team. BDS versus Beleagual. I think this is a pretty easy 3-0. Beleagual, I don't expect much from this team either. Um, it's whatever. Endpoint versus Wild. I'm gonna switch it up. Give it to good old Wild here. Feel like they can make a really random just run out of nowhere. So possibly. Gentleman's versus Redemption. This is a really weird one. Redemption has a pretty strong roster, but so does Gentlemates, and I think Gentlemates are just that much better. I think they'll take them down 3-1. I'm expecting a lot from this Gentlemates roster. Maybe they start off slow right here. Obviously, first match against BDS. You're not expecting much, but I think they'll pick it up. Resolve versus 100%. This is the Resolve and versus basically the former team of Resolve. You know, I don't know where to go with this one actually. Resolve, I think, could do something. I think this 100% roster could also do something. I'm gonna go a quick little random Resolve. I think they have. I think they're technically the favorites going in here, but I don't really know. Fast Forward versus Saw. I will give it to Saw. I think Saw will take it. I'm not expecting much from this Fast Forward roster. I think Saw will take it. Oxygen versus Wild. I'm gonna give this one and a 3-0 Oxygen. I think they'll take it. They'll get revenge. Kind of mad they lost to Vitality. So close. They'll bring it out on Wild. Magnifico versus Gentlemates. Gentlemates are gonna take it 3-1. I expect a little bit from this Gentlemates roster, and I think they'll do just what I want them to, or what I expect them to. Moist versus BDS. Ooh, that's weird. I'm gonna give this one to Moist. It might be a weird prediction, but I think Moist will take it. BDS. I kind of want to see where Jolly goes. We haven't seen much from him. I think this is his RLCS kind of debut. So although he's been on a big team before, this is the first time he's really made RLCS, and I don't know what to expect from him quite yet. So I think just out of a random prediction, Moist, we can see that more. Endpoint versus Saw. I think Endpoint would take that down 3-1. Actually, you know what? No. We're gonna change it. Endpoint get upset here. Saw take them down. Looking to go for the reverse sweep of the entire Swiss. Maybe. Resolve versus Beleagual. I think Resolve do the exact same thing. They'll take them down and look to go for the reverse sweep. Maybe. Team 3 versus Redemption. Weird one. I'm gonna give it to Redemption. I think this team will do a little bit more. To be fair, that is Team 3 versus basically, all of the OG EG roster besides Tox. I think he was on EG. Is in this one. Catalysm, Rizex, and Ivan. So the original EG roster, when they returned, this is them. And Team 3 loses. Next up, BDS versus Redemption. I think BDS take them down. Yeah, I don't expect a lot from the Redemption, especially going up against BDS, but, whatever. Next one's Resolve versus Wild. We'll give a reverse sweep in there, and a massive upset. I think Wild not many people expected them to go far, but I think they'll make it to round five is a pretty big, uh, just kind of wow they did something there, and yeah. Magnifico versus Saw. I think Magnifico would shut down Saw, and in their reverse sweep run. Yeah. So with that being said, we have a very weird top eight. Very random top eight to be fair. I don't. This is kind of interesting. Resolve being in it is not expected. Neither is Magnifico. A lot of people are actually putting Magnifico pretty high, so the make a top eight could just be, expected. Who knows? Um, but yeah, let's I guess go ahead and get into this. Carmine versus Resolve. You know, Resolve, good run. I don't think they're taking a game. Carmine, or I bet they're going to be a strong team this season, and I'm expecting a lot from them. Moist versus Gentlemates. Um, I'm gonna give it to Gentlemates in seven. I think they'll perform, and I think Moist will need time to kind of get settled in. But I think Moist will be a big team this region as well, or big team this season. Um, yeah. Vitality Ramifico, hate to do it, but it's gonna be a 4-0. We're gonna give it a 4-1 actually. I know Vitality are gonna take this down. I'm very confident in saying that if this team faced up against each other, um, yeah, I'm pretty confident saying Vitality is gonna win this. I say Magnifico get a game. I think they could maybe like a 1-0 game, very first game, but once Vitality get going, they're gonna stomp. Oxygen BDS. Ooh, very weird game. Um, I don't know where to go with this one, to be fair. Oxygen are really good. BDS are really good. I'm gonna give it to Oxygen. Like, we're gonna give it a 4-2. BDS, you expect a lot from them. But like I said, with Drawley in the roster, don't really know how he's gonna perform. I'm gonna give it to Oxygen and just say that they do really good here. Gentlemates versus Carmine Corp. Like I said, Carmine Corp. I think are going to be one of the dominant regions of this team, if not the most dominant region, a dominant part of this region. Um, yeah, Gentlemates. They're a good roster, but like, I don't know. I think Carmine will just are going to look strong, and I think taking them down 4-1 are really going to show that this Carmine roster is strong. Vitality versus Oxygen, a really interesting one as well. This is the Vitality World Championship winning team. They don't got Pharaoh anymore, so anything could happen. But I I gotta be real with you. I think it'll be close. I think Oxygen will like keep it close, and it'd be a lot more competitive. And I guess you would think in terms of the orgs and their recent accomplishments and stuff. But yeah, Vitality, I think they'll edge it out. And obviously, surprise, surprise, you have Carmine Vitality in the finals. Who would have guessed? Now, the big question is Vitality, the world championship winning team, going to continue their reign, or is Carmine going to stomp them down and show that they are the true powerhouse of the region? Personally, I think Carmine will do just that. I think we'll go to game 7, but I think Carmine will show that they are a great team, and they're going to carry this region on its back. Maybe excluding Vitality, but I think it's gonna happen. Obviously, you had your two favorites go to the finals for North America this past weekend. Two favorites for Europe, in my opinion, going to the grand finals, and Carmine taking that win. So, with that being said, obviously, here are my predictions for the EU qual. Most likely, this isn't going to happen. In fact, teams could be completely upset. Vitality or Carmine could go 0-3. Doubt that's going to happen. They can go to round 5. They might not make it out of Swiss. Who knows? Or they might lose first round of playoffs. Or maybe I'm right and one of them go to the finals and they win. So, obviously, not everyone's going to agree here, but I am very curious to see your opinions on it. Who do you think is really going to perform this season? Do you think it's going to be Carmine Vitality, be the big two dogs of the region? And do you think that any other team is going to really contest with them? Do you think we're going to see any upsets happen? Any crazy, like, random predictions? You think Saw Redemption or Magnifico can upset this Carmine roster. I think Vitality might go worse than 3-0. Anything. I just want to hear your opinions on it and kind of see where you're going with it. So, yeah, just let me know in the comment section down below. I really appreciate it. Like, subscribe, turn on post notifications. It will really help me out. And obviously, I'm trying to get these videos out as soon as possible. So, you know, whatever. Um, yeah, and I'll see you next time, I guess.